No, baby, that's for somebody else. We're just gonna keep you right where you're at right now.
It doesn't matter what you think.
The Wrestling Realm presents Break It Down with Brian H.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this episode of Break It Down with Brian H. Episode number 59. And guess what? We are 1 week away for the 1 year anniversary of Break It Down with Brian H. And guess what? Here's some news. So the show next week will be different because if it's recorded on time, I don't know, because I will be out of town on business. So if it is, it will not take place in my home of Baltimore, Maryland, and it will not take place right here inside the Wrestling Realm. Instead, it'll be on location. So we'll wait to see. But before we get into today's show, we have to talk about, we lost a legend, folks. We lost King Kong Bundy. I woke up this morning, found out, I texted my brothers. It was about 6:40 Eastern time, a.m. And I was like, man, did you guys hear? King Kong Bundy passed away. So our thoughts and prayers go out to his family. Just a couple of things to say. You know, I remember King Kong Bundy as my first, real memory, far as, really watching him, was when he wrestled, when he was with the $1 Million Corporation, and he wrestled The Undertaker at WrestleMania 11. Now, I was young when he was fighting at WrestleMania 3, when they was, it was the midgets and against Hillbilly Jim and his midgets, or, obviously I was born about 4 months after WrestleMania 2, so I wasn't watching when he took on Hulk Hogan in the main event, but certainly I've seen that match multiple times. So one thing we do know that, he would always say 5 count, and later on you guys may remember Big E's thing was 3 isn't enough, I need 5. So our thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family during this troubled time during their loss. So let's get into today's show. We're going to start, the title of the show we've been watching is, if you looked at the graphic, is Ronda Rousey turns heel and awaits WrestleMania. So how did that happen? Well, Ronda Rousey last week on Monday Night Raw decided that she had enough. She wanted to face the best. She wanted Becky Lynch. Even though Becky had been kind of doing whatever she wanted to do, she had demanded that Vince McMahon come out there and give her Becky Lynch. Well, Stephanie McMahon said, no, that's not going to happen. Becky has to suffer the consequences for her actions. And we saw Becky Lynch go to jail. Ronda said reinstate her. They went back and forth. Ronda left the championship belt inside the ring. Well, Stephanie said, all right, well, fine. I guess I don't have a Raw Women's Champion. Therefore decided that Becky Lynch would take on Charlotte, and the winner would be a Raw Women's Champion. And this coming after Charlotte decided, hey, I'm the champ. I'm going to be crowned. Well, I thought that was real interesting. Stephanie came out Monday Night Raw with the title, as you can see right there on your screen. She's holding the title. They're getting ready for the contract signing. And then suddenly Ronda Rousey comes out. And, she came out there and she said, I didn't ask to be excluded. I just wanted Becky included in the match. And then suddenly Ronda goes berserk. She says she's had enough. She starts telling Stephanie, you need me, because I could do whatever I want, because at the end of the day, you care about your bank account. And my name is valuable, and I'm going to put more money in your pockets. So Ronda continued that. Then she went to talk to the fans, talk about how they just booed her, and as much as she tried to have respect for the business, she wasn't accepted, and we saw her turn heel and lose it. She would attack Charlotte and Becky, but definitely giving Becky more of the attack and put her in the armbar, caught Becky Lynch off guard. So, and you have to wonder, sometimes I was talking to my brother Glenn Thomas of the Wrestling Marks of Excellence, and he brought up a good point. He said, look, some of that stuff looked like it was a shoot, meaning real. As when I say real, I mean really hitting Becky. We saw them go back and forth on social media. So who knows? That's the beauty of professional wrestling. I love Ronda turning heel. It's about time. We knew that she was going to get booed in New York, so book her to be booed. There's no way, this is my opinion, I just don't see heel or face fans being happy if Ronda Rousey leaves WrestleMania 35 with the WWE Raw Women's Championship. I do believe now we will have a clear-cut Becky Lynch coronation. I mean, that's what I'm hoping for. So only time will tell. Let's move on to SmackDown. So on SmackDown, we saw the new Daniel Bryan come out, and he talked to, he was speechless, but then he started taking shots at Kofi Kingston. He started saying Kofi was on a tour in India because that's what he's good for. He's good for doing the promotional work of the WWE, that he is not worthy of being a champion. Then we saw Kevin Owens come out there, and Owens made it clear, you need to be shut up. And he said he was a fan of the WWE Universe while he was out for 5 months, and he just got sick of Daniel Bryan. So I love that in such a short time, I've been able to get invested in this feud. Kevin Owens would take on Rowan in the not the main event, but I guess you call it the main event, at the end of the night. And Daniel Bryan just kept calling him fat, loser, doing Daniel Bryan things. We know how he gets when he gets on that microphone. He gets very annoying. I love it. And what we saw was them to beat up Kevin Owens. And it makes you wonder, is Kevin Owens going to leave Fastlane, leave Cleveland, the WWE champion once again? Well, he's been the Universal champion. I don't think so. Time will tell. But they did say New Day will be in the house. So, will New Day get involved? Will Kofi Kingston get angry enough to get involved in this matchup? That's what we got to look forward to see. This is going to be really good. I have a feeling that these two will put on a good match, better than what people may think. Sure, it may get lost in the shuffle because you have Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair taking on each other. That will probably be the main event. Obviously, the Universal title isn't on the line. We have the Shield reuniting. I don't think this will be the main event, but hey, guess what? Daniel Bryan can say is, while he was the WWE champion, he did main event a show that did not include John Cena. So, speaking of the Shield, we saw Baron Corbin, Drew McIntyre, and Bobby Lashley kind of, after Dean Ambrose lost to Elias, they beat him up. And that kind of forced something. Kind of forced the Shield. Actually, let me rewind that. Let's go back to the beginning of the show. Roman Reigns came out there. I'm about to get ahead of myself. Roman Reigns came out beginning of Monday Night Raw, and he talked about he's back and it's time to get back to business. He said before that, he had to call Seth Rollins out. So now everybody's thinking, all right, here we go. Roman's going to challenge for the championship. He's going to challenge Rollins at Fastlane for his title opportunity. Or he's going to say he wants the first title shot. But he didn't. Instead, he said he wanted to congratulate Rollins. He said he wanted to say that while he was out, Rollins was holding it down. And therefore, said, go ahead and slay the beast. Now, we saw Dean Ambrose say this a few weeks ago, even though it was caught out of nowhere. But then he also said he had another request. He said it's time to get the band back together. He said, brothers, that's what they do, they fight. So Rollins, he went back and forth and finally got Rollins to buy in. And they spent the night sort of chasing Ambrose. And Ambrose is scheduled to leave. But one thing Roman said was that he wanted to do this because while he was out, he realized how life isn't promised. Things can be taken away from you. So he wanted to do this before he couldn't do it anymore. Like I said, later on in the night, Ambrose would lose. But then we did see when Rollins and Reigns came back out there after Ambrose lost, they asked him. And then Ambrose kind of got up and he walked up up the ring. But then here comes McIntyre, Corbin, and Lashley. And I got that mixed up. I had my time of events mixed up. I know somebody's out there. No, it didn't happen. But yeah, they came out after. And when it looked like it could have been a 2-on-1, Ambrose shook whatever attitude he had, and he ran down there, and he joined. And then it was time. Afterwards, we saw the call for the fist bump. And then Ambrose thought about it, and then he got on the same page. And therefore, at Fastlane, we are getting a 6-man tag with the Shield taking on Corbin, Lashley, and McIntyre. So I'm really excited about this. I think it's good stuff, and I can't wait to see what happens. Now it's time for my top rope.
Going up to the top rope.
It's time for this week's Top Rope segment of the week.
So, the top rope this week, folks, you probably didn't think this was going to happen. It's Triple H. Now, I know last week I said I was not a fan of this feud. I did not want to see Triple H and Batista. But I got to admit, while I'm not really excited about the match, I am excited about the execution of this story. I love the fact that Triple H is having to dig deeper. This is legit. This seems like legitimate heat. Here's a guy who you already beat, but then all of a sudden, he already beat you, so you wonder, what else do you want? But then you think about it. Batista could be really upset because he felt like a lot of promises was made in 2014 and he never got. And he wanted a match with Triple H. We saw that on the SmackDown 1000 episode where he kind of created the tension and Triple H ignored him. But then, all of a sudden, here we go. He attacks the Nature Boy Ric Flair. And like anybody, we saw this with Triple H and Randy Orton when Randy Orton attacked the McMahons. Now we're seeing it again. So, I'm down. I'm here for this feud. I'm not really having high expectations for the match. It probably still will be a bathroom break match for me. But I'll be finished by the time. The match will still be going on because we know Triple H matches go at least 20 minutes at WrestleMania. So I'm really looking forward to his entrance and the finish. So I'm going to go ahead and take the first break.
Yo, this is Malik Smith with the No Rules Podcast, and you're listening to Break It Down with Brian H., brought to you by the Wrestling Wrealm.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am back. Now, that is my boy Malik from the No Rules Podcast. Make sure you check out him and my boy Aaron each and every week, wherever you get your podcast from. These guys, man, let me tell you, each and every week I'm entertained. They're talking sports, they're talking current events. We know if you're an NBA fan getting ready to get into the playoffs, you got Aaron Sixers, so he's not going to shut up about it. So I love that. But they just talk about everything that's going on in the world. So make sure you check them out. And, because of their podcast, I've been able to check out other podcasts because they have frequent guests on their show. So now, let's talk about this. Tag team wrestling, folks. Who would have thunk it? WWE is doing tag team wrestling in ways that you just didn't think was going to happen. You have, right now, you got Ricochet and Aleister Black coming up to the main roster. And you have the former NXT champion and the former NXT North American champion joining forces. So at first I was like, oh, here we go. They just threw them together. But no, they're a legitimate tag team. They're going to be in the Dusty Rhodes Classic. So for probably these next few weeks, they're going to be really busy as they wrestle on Raw and SmackDown. And, like I said, they still got work to do down in NXT. But this past week, they had an opportunity on Monday Night Raw for the Tag Team Championship. And they lost to the Revival. However, that match, well, I should say they didn't win the titles because of outside interference, and therefore we're going to get a triple threat tag team match with Aleister Black and Ricochet, The Revival, and Gable and Rude. I actually like this. Not really always the biggest fan of triple threat tag team matches, but I love how serious tag team wrestling is being taken. Let's move to Monday Night Raw. Well, let's stay with Raw, because we also had a gauntlet match where we saw Heavy Machinery run the table. They were able to beat the Ascension, Hawkins and Ryder, and the B Team. Now, the B Team is a former tag team champion. I have this gut feeling that somehow, some way, Hawkins and Ryder are going to become the tag team champions. And I got a gut feeling, bold statement, that it's going to happen at WrestleMania. You say, why? We know there's been this big deal about Kurt Hawkins losing over 200 consecutive matches. Why not let him get his opportunity at Mania? That's the perfect time, right? I think that we'll have some sort of tag team turmoil, or maybe a tag team ladder match for Monday Night Raw, and then that's how they get the titles. So I could be wrong, but nonetheless. But let's move on to SmackDown, because we also see tag team wrestling being taken seriously there. This week we saw Ricochet and Aleister Black again. This time they defeated the Bar. After the Bar said, just like the Raw divisions, you don't measure up. But they would get, after their win, they would get attacked by Shinsuke and Rusev. And then the Hardys would come out and join. Now, the Hardys are on a quest to be the greatest tag team ever. So now you have all these tag teams. And remember, there was a point in time in the WWE where folks were saying, man, WWE doesn't know what they're doing with tag team wrestling. But that's not the case right now. This is the best I've seen the tag team division in so long. And not to mention on on SmackDown, you do have the Usos who will be defending their tag team titles at Fastlane against Shane O'Mac and The Miz, which everybody ultimately believes this is a way to get Shane versus The Miz. We think that's the way they're going, and that's going to be a big split. But if it doesn't happen, that's another tag team. So this is kind of reminding me of 1999 when you had the tag team turmoil at SummerSlam 99. That wasn't like my favorite SummerSlam, but actually for some reason, not say it was a great match, but I really enjoyed that tag team title match. So, but like I said, right now, this is the best we've seen WWE tag team in a long time. And it could have something to do with those three letters, AEW. Who knows? I tell you one thing though. One of the matches they named for Madison Square Garden, New Japan show, will be the Briscoes versus the Gorillas of Destiny. That's a match I can't wait for. I got a feeling that's going to be a great match, especially taking place at the Garden, because it's hollow ground. Now, granted, this isn't a WWE show, but no, it's still hollow ground, so I can't wait. So, big news this week. WWE named Tori Wilson to their Hall of Fame. Congratulations to her. I know there's a lot of people out there saying, oh, she doesn't deserve it. Look, I go on and on. And you know what? I am. Not on and on, but one, she was one of the best, I shouldn't say best. She was one of the most sought out WWE divas as we look around the 2002 to 2004. Definitely at the top of her career. When you look at what the women's division was, and people may say lack of, but it was the Divas division. It was the Divas era. Tori Wilson was must-see TV. She was like Sable. And then when Sable came back, we obviously know what happened there. But Tori Wilson was on the cover of Playboy twice, by herself and with Sable. She was on, I understand why people having issues, but when you look at what that class was, can you tell the history of the WWE women's division without Tori Wilson? No, you can't. I'm talking about when you're talking about the women of the WWE, whether it's the Divas division, whether it's the models turned vixens, the valets, you have to think, can you tell the history? There was a history that WWE had with Playboy. it's true. Tori Wilson, Sable first. Tori Wilson, China, Ashley Mazzaro, Candice Michelle, Maria. So, and there's more, I'm pretty sure. But there's a history there. And you have to include Tori Wilson's name in that history. That is why she's a Hall of Famer, folks. So, there's rumors that my boy Brutus the Barber Beefcake is up next. So, I don't care. I know a lot of people don't like him. Brutus Barber Beefcake will always be one of my favorites. Plus, he has some really cool music. So, I'm going to take my last break before I come from the realm.
Yo, this is 2 Chainz of the Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast, and you are now listening to Break It Down with Brian H. Waters, brought to you by the Wrestling Wrealm.
And now for our From the Realm segment, where I answer your questions from the Facebook fan page, the Facebook group page, and the Twitter at Wrestling Realm.
All right, From the Realm this week, the first question comes from, actually both questions, come from my boy, Sean the Shark Williams. Make sure you check out his show each and every week. He's got 2 shows, Variety Bites, and of course, The Shark Attack, which make sure you check that out on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, you name it, he's there. His first question, did Ronda's meltdown make her being beaten at Mania a must happen? I have to say yes. She's, like I said earlier, she's the heel. She is who everybody wants to see beat. So I think it's a must happen. I thought it was from the jump, and now I think so even more. Now, his next question. What are the chances the Shield gets involved and ends up being what beats Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania? Sorry, I miswrote that on the screen. So, I think I'm confused, to be honest with you, because here's the thing. Sunday could go 2 ways. You could have Dean Ambrose turn on Roman Reigns, and then you set up Roman versus Dean at WrestleMania. Or you could have them fist pump after a win, going about their business. Dean Ambrose and Roman maybe end up some sort of tag team match, but then come out there and attack Lesnar. I really like your idea, though, because it makes it believable. Brock Lesnar, everybody wants to see the title off of him. But when you really think about it, can you really see Seth Rollins beating him being that believable? Let's just think about it from Roman, you look at the two, it's like, okay, yeah, Roman could beat him. Braun Strowman, yeah. Samoa Joe, yeah. But Seth Rollins, we know Super Cena did, but I don't know. There's no offense to Seth Rollins, but I'm just saying, looking at it from a different perspective. Who knows? But I have to say, yes. I do think there are, I'd say 75% chance that we see the Shield beat up Brock Lesnar. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for this week's episode of Break It Down with Brian H. Want to send a special get well soon to the homie Willow Nightingale. She got hurt, broke her neck in the ring. So, definitely want to send my get well wishes to her and prayers. Make sure you, I put the link out there. So follow the Wrestling Wrealm. Follow her at, just search Willow Nightingale. Make sure you support her if you can. And definitely support her with the prayers. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, next week we celebrate 1 year of Break It Down with Brian H., the real Dwayne Allen, and we promised you that the Wrestling Wrealm brand will be back and better than ever. And we got 1 year Break It Down with Brian H. Wrestling for the Culture has been a year. And guess what, folks? The show is coming, because I just got word just a few minutes before getting on the air that the real Dwayne Allen and his squad has won a championship. So congratulations to him. He might get on me because I put that out there, but I'll take the heat. I'll deal with it. But congratulations to my brother doing this thing, coaching the kids. Obviously, he's a huge inspiration. Y'all know he's a huge inspiration to me. I mean, he designed the shirt and the merchandise that's behind me. So when you got a brother like that, is just too sweet. So, folks, until the next time, I'm Brian H. Waters. So long, everybody. Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Break It Down with Brian H. If you like what you see, go ahead and hit subscribe down low and check out all the other stuff brought to you by the Wrestling Realm.